Number 12, Judges, the 6th chapter, beginning at verse number 12. I'm reading from the New International Version of the Scriptures. We're in a series entitled Radical Identity, and we're affectionately calling it I Am. And so let's see what this particular passage points us to in our time together today. Judges 6:12 says, when the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, you mighty warrior." "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but if the Lord is with us, then why has all of this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian." The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you?" "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I'm the least in my family." The Lord answered and said, "I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive." Clap your hands for the reading of God's word. I want you to say over yourself the topic of today's teaching. Everybody repeat after me. Please say, I am able. Say it again. Say, I am able. One more time. I am able. If you believe that, clap your hands about that today. I am able. Church, this particular passage provides us with the privilege of witnessing a rap session that is transpiring between God and a guy named Gideon. This is no routine or run-of-the-mill rap session, church. This is a critical conversation. It is a conversation in which God is attempting to introduce Gideon to a Gideon that Gideon hadn't met yet. I said, in this conversation, God is attempting to introduce Gideon to a Gideon Gideon has not met yet. This is a critical conversation. God is attempting to present to Gideon a picture of his potential. He is attempting to usher him into an understanding of his assignment. This is no ordinary dialogue. It is a dialogue about destiny. And if you are not determined to reach yours, if you are not passionate about reaching your potential, then the details in this text may mean very little to you. But if you want to live life passionately, if you want to live life purposefully, if you want to live life victoriously, then Gideon has got a word for you. Yeah. Now, church, contextually, Gideon's story is found in the book of the Bible called Judges. And this book details Israel's history as it was led by civil and religious leaders called judges. Their judges were not like our judges. Their judges were civil and religious leaders. And this period was a very interesting period for Israel because Israel was not governed by a king. And because there was no designated authority, people lived without accountability. Come here, parents. Because there was no designated authority, people live without accountability. Oh, what would your children do if you never put your foot down? There's a passage in Judges that paints a clear picture of what I'm attempting to proclaim. In Judges 21, verse number 25, the text says, "In those days, the days of Judges, Israel had no king, and everyone did as they saw fit." Where there was no authority, there was little accountability, so people did what was right in their own eyes, not because they didn't know what was right, but because there was no authority in place to hold them accountable to what was right. And so they find themselves experiencing a season of unusual attacks from enemies called the Midianites. And it's extremely, extremely challenging when you really observe the details of the text, because they experience opposition from the Midianites for a period of 7 years. Everybody say 7 years. 7 years they experience opposition and attack from the Midianites. This is powerful. And God, watch this, watches for 7 years them endure something that was avoidable. For 7 years, God looks upon them being agitated and harassed and taken advantage of by the Midianites. It's powerful because it teaches us something. It teaches us something. Everybody repeat after me. Say, God's direction is for my protection. Come on, say it again. Say, God's direction is for my protection. So whenever God gives us any type of instruction, his instruction is in the best interest of our advancement. So when he says do this or don't do that, his direction is for our protection. Watch this. Come here, parents. When someone does not follow your direction, it makes it hard for you to give them protection. If you tell your children when you go out, if you find yourself surrounded by people that are doing certain things, don't get in the car with those people. That's your direction. When they don't follow the direction, they forfeit the protection. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It makes them vulnerable to things that they would not be vulnerable to if they had followed your direction. But the challenge is this. The challenge is this. The challenge is sometimes those of us who are under authority are receiving direction from people, watch this, who are in authority. And so we have a different perspective and a different vantage point, because the only way you can understand what I'm doing is if you see what I'm seeing. But you can't see what I'm seeing if you don't sit where I'm sitting. See, as a parent, you can say some things because you've seen some things. And it's difficult for people who hadn't seen those things to accept what you're saying because they can only see from their vantage point. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And this is why the prophet Isaiah says, God's ways are not our ways and God's thoughts are not our thoughts. As far as the heavens are above the earth are God's ways from our ways and his thoughts from our thoughts. The reason that he doesn't do what we think he should be doing is because he isn't seeing what we're seeing. But if he was are y'all here? But if we were seeing what he was seeing, we could understand why he's doing what he's doing. God's direction is for my protection. He sees some things we don't see. When he says, be careful who you allow into your relational space, it's because he sees some things we don't see. Make sense? And so Israel didn't follow God's direction. So they became vulnerable to an enemy, Midianites, who were always present. They just weren't always active. See, just because our enemies, or just because our enemies aren't always active doesn't mean they're not present. Just because they're not doing anything to you doesn't mean they like you. Just because they aren't intentionally attempting to sabotage your success doesn't mean they're happy about it. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so the Midianites were always present. They just weren't always active, because as long as Israel followed God's direction, they experienced God's protection, and they weren't vulnerable to what was always present. This is why I think it's appropriate when we come into God's house every Sunday morning. I think it's extremely appropriate for us to give God at least, somebody say at least 2 types of praises. Okay. The first praise is, I want to thank you for the things that you did that I know about. Okay? Now, secondly, I want to thank you for the things that you did that I don't know about. The people who were about to tell my business and you closed their mouth. Let me go to this side. Yeah. Come on now. The people who could have did things to hurt me that didn't. The plan and the snare and the trap that the enemy had set for me, but you frustrated it. Come on and talk to me, church. I want to thank you for the stuff you did that I know about, and I want to thank you for the things that you did that I don't know about. I want to praise you for dangers, protecting me from danger seen, but let me praise you for protecting me from dangers unseen. Hallelujah. The accident that could have happened, the sickness that could have infected my body. Come on, church. The robbery that could have happened. Thank you for protecting me from enemies that were present but not always active. So for 7 years, the Midianites attacked the Israelites, but this type of attack was a different type of attack. It wasn't an attack that eradicated the Israelites or that annihilated them. It wasn't an attack that wiped them off of the face of the earth. It was a very interesting attack. It was an agitating attack. Anybody know anything about those? It's not killing me, but it's getting on my nerves. This is the 12 o'clock, right? Come on. Yeah, you're getting on my nerves. Somebody say, leave me alone. Sometimes you just want to, yeah. Because the text says Midian impoverished Israel. They didn't kill them. But this is what they did. They would destroy their fields and kill their cattle. Now what they grew was what they ate and what they sold. So when Midian would destroy their fields, it impacted Israel's ability to eat and also to use what they harvested as currency to exchange for other things. They survived, but something was stolen. So the attack didn't kill them, but it robbed them. See, some attacks sent by Satan aren't sent to kill you. They're sent to rob you. Because you don't go through certain seasons without being robbed of something. Watch this. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And sometimes we can assume because I survived, I'm unaffected. Now realizing that the enemy knows sometimes that we don't know that he's stolen something from us. Come on and talk to me, church. Yeah, sometimes your hope can be stolen. Your joy can be stolen. Your peace can be stolen. So people can go through it, but then when they get on the other side of it, they're bitter. Now, you weren't bitter when you went in it, but you're bitter when you came out of it, which lets me know that you left something in the trial that you need to go back and get. Can't go through kind of heartbreak and not leave something. Can't be used like that and it not rob you at least a little of your faith in people. We think because we survive, we're unaffected. What is the enemy taking? Maybe he wasn't after your life. The devil tried to kill me. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he was trying to rob you of something. Your innocence, of your value, of your esteem, of your worth, of your value, of your worthiness, of your focus. You were focused, and now after that season, you can't seem to get your focus back aligned with your vision and your values. What was stolen from you? Lord, show me what was stolen, because I've got enough tenacity and I got enough passion to go back into the enemy's camp and take back what he stole from me. This belongs to me. So after 7 years of being impoverished, 7 years of functioning from a deficit. For 7 years they functioned, but they were functioning from a deficit. Oh, this is good. This is why I know you don't want to hear this. I know you don't want to hear this. Online, I know you don't want to hear this. But that's why if you just broke up with somebody, I feel it right here. Let me stay here. I preach where the love is. Wherever the love is, I feel it. That's why if you just broke up with somebody, you need some time to figure out what was stolen before you jump back into another relationship, because you're functioning out of a deficit you don't know you have. Y'all aren't talking to me. You may not have lost your esteem, you may not have lost your value, but you lost something. And you need to figure out what it is so that you can rebuild and replenish that, so that you go into the next season of your life not functioning from a place of emotional poverty. Y'all aren't talking to me. Neediness, just needy, just needy, 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 just needy because you're poor. You've been robbed. Let me take a minute. Let me take a minute. Is this good, everybody? Is this okay? So 7 years of Israel functioning out of their impoverished place. This is so powerful. This just came to my mind. Denial doesn't fix poverty. I like me. See, you can't fool yourself. Now, you can fool us. Y'all not talking to me. No, it didn't bother me, Pastor Daniels. I'm just fine. No, you can fool me, but you can't fool your soul. Your mouth is saying, it didn't hurt my feelings. Your soul is saying, yes, it did. Where is my church? The mouth is saying, I'm just fine. Your soul is saying, don't cry. Don't cry. Make it to the car. Make it to the car. Just get to the car. Is this on today? So 7 years out of functioning, 7 years of functioning out of a deficit, 7 years of functioning out of a deficit. And then Israel cries out to God for assistance. Say, Lord, we can't take this anymore. We need your help. I'm wondering why it took 7 years for them to ask. Right? Everything in the Bible is significant. I'm not a numerologist, but I do believe that when there are certain numbers that are used consistently around certain themes, that there may be some truth to that. And so some suggest that 7 in Scripture is the number of completion. It refers to a cycle, the end of a thing. And maybe Israel had to come to the end of themselves. Because maybe our first inclination is to fix our own poverty. Because it's one thing to recognize what's been taken from me and who took it, but this is the challenge. When someone takes something from you emotionally, they can't give it back. So the person who took your esteem can't give it back to you. And the person who took your innocence can't give it back to you. And the person, come on, that took your sense of self can't give it back to you. So where do I go to get back what somebody else took from me? I've got to go to the one, not who took it from me, but I got to go to the one who gave it to me in the first place. Because the same one that gave it to me in the beginning is the same one that can give it to me again. And sometimes it takes a cycle, it takes a season of us searching in the wrong places before we get the revelation that nobody can do this one but God. That I can't fix this by myself. And as they cry out for assistance, they cry out for assistance, they cry out for help, right? They cry for help. Lord, we need help. Midianites are attacking us, and they're pushing us to a place of poverty. Something interesting happens. You'll see in Judges chapter 6, verse 7, it says, when the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet. Time out. I need assistance because I'm being attacked by an army, and you send me a prophet who doesn't fight. I need a gun or something. I need somebody with something, a pocket knife or something. Send somebody with some mace or something, Jesus. You send a prophet. Because sometimes the answer to your dilemma is a word. Yeah, that's sometimes, but that's not this time. Because when this prophet comes to Israel, he doesn't give them an answer. He doesn't give them an answer. He gives them a reason. He doesn't give an answer to the predicament. He gives them clarification on why they're in it. Y'all missed it. Because God says, watch this, I'm about to help you out. You missed it. God sent the prophet to Israel because he says, I'm about to help you out. You want me to help you out, but I'm about to help you. There it is. Yeah, you want me to help you out with the Midianites. I'm going to get to that. But when you called me, I don't have to do anything. You called me for assistance. And when you call me, when I fix it, I fix everything. I go in every nook and cranny, because when I handle it, Ohio, only handle it once. I only handle it once. When I come on and talk to me, says, you called me in here. She says, okay, I'm going to help you out. But first of all, I need to help you. Because if you don't see how you got here, then your present predicament is going to become a prophetic predictor of your future. What did I just say? I don't even know. What I'm trying to say is that if you don't know how you got in where you are bound to end up in the same place in the future. So God says, let's be clear, Israel, your only problem isn't the Midianites. That's not the only problem with this problem. He says we need clarification so that you know how you got here, so that you don't repeat this. Because Israel, this is a miracle you shouldn't need. But because I'm gracious, I'm going to give you one you don't deserve. But you shouldn't need this one. The Red Sea, you needed that one. The Jordan River, you needed that one. Jericho, you needed that one. But this one was avoidable if you just did what I said. That it wouldn't even take all of this if you just did what I said. Because my direction is for your protection. So while this is powerful, while the prophet is talking to Israel, God sends an angel, a messenger, to talk to Gideon. And Gideon is going to be the answer, because God's attempting to convince Gideon to accept the assignment to lead a military effort to overthrow Midian. This is powerful now. When the angel approaches Gideon, this is what the text says. Verse 11 says, Gideon was doing this, threshing wheat in a wine press to keep it from the Midianites. Everybody look at me. I'm from Mississippi. I'm from the country. But I am not an agricultural specialist. That's not me. So I don't claim expertise in this area. But this is one thing I do know. You shouldn't be threshing wheat in a place where you're supposed to be pressing grapes for wine. I know that much. At least I don't think. So catch this. The text says he's doing it to keep it from the Midianites. He's hiding it. He's afraid. Watch what the angel says to him when he appears to him. The angel says to Gideon, first of all, the Lord is with you. With your hiding, fearful self, God is with you. You don't even know who you are yet, but God is with you. Come on, let's summarize this activity. You are doing the wrong thing in the wrong place, but somebody should have shouted right there. He never leaves you or forsakes you. If you make your bed in hell, he'll find you there. He says you're threshing wheat in the wine press, but God is with you. But this is what he calls him, you mighty warrior. Wait a minute now. Mighty warrior? How is he a mighty warrior when he's hiding? There's nothing that he's doing that resembles the character traits of a man of valor or a mighty warrior. But when God introduces you to a you haven't met yet, when God shows you the you that's in you, when God presents you with a picture of your purpose, he never reminds you of your smallness. So he refused to call him what everybody else had called him. Everybody else had called him Gideon. But when God, y'all aren't talking to me, begins to introduce him to his future, God calls him what he sees in him. And some people can't call you what's in you because they don't see in you what God's put in you. But God said, underneath this inconsistent and this impulsive and unstable and fearful man named Gideon, I see a warrior. I see somebody that's about to take the very gates of Midian by storm. I see somebody that I'm about to use to save a nation, a community from oppression and suppression. I see a mighty warrior. He says, I see it. He says, I want you to save Israel from Midian. And Gideon replies in verse 15. He says, now, hold up, wait a minute. How can I save Israel? This is what he says. He says, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. Did you hear me? He said, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. So this is what he says, okay, Lord, I can't do this. Number one, I don't have the support system. You must not know my family. No, that's what it says. It said, you must not know my family. He said, now, if this was Judah, then if I was from Judah, then maybe I could make this work because they're larger and they're more spiritual and they're the praising tribe. And, but yeah, my family, So this is what he's saying. I don't have the support system. I can do it, but I don't have the support. If I do it, I got to do this on my own because I don't have the help. See, I can't call my family and ask them to help me because my family called me and asked me for help. I don't have the pedigree. I don't have the qualifications. I don't have the educational background. I don't have the vocational experience. I don't qualify for this. My past is not as clean. Yeah, if people start digging, they're going to find something. Let me go over to this side. I just feel love all over here today. I feel realness. Yeah, if they dig deep enough, they gonna find something. Yeah, they shouldn't have called me what they called me, but they called me that for a reason. And if you dig deep enough, you'll find out why. So Lord, I know not me, maybe somebody whose past isn't like mine. Somebody who hadn't made the mistakes that I made, not me. Jesus, I'm threshing wheat in the wine press. I'm struggling right now. I gotta go. But sometimes it takes the calling to change the behavior. Y'all didn't hear what I said. God says, you know what? The only way I'm gonna get you to straighten up is if I introduce you to who you are, because it's gonna take the burden of the responsibility that you now gotta walk in to correct and to rectify behavior that you weren't willing to change as long as I gave you wiggle room. But when I move you from the back to the front, when I move you from the seat to the stage, when I move you from the bottom to the top, and all eyes are on you, now you're watching the way you walk because you know somebody's watching. Where's my church at in here today? You got to watch the way you walk. I feel like preaching in here. I'm trying to. Yeah, because with elevation comes attention. And a lot of people want the elevation, but you don't want the attention. Because whenever there's attention, some of it is positive and some of it is negative. And you don't want to give your enemies ammunition. My God. Is this good? Y'all ready to go? Okay. Gideon basically says, I'm not able. So watch this. Are y'all ready for this? Y'all sure you're ready? He says, I'm not able. He's lying and doesn't know it. Everybody say to yourself, stop lying. Gideon's behavior was lying to him. His behavior was saying, you weak. But the behavior doesn't change the calling. But the calling will change the behavior. Romans 3:4, let God be true and every man be a liar. Come on and talk to me. What God says about you is what's true. Your behavior is just waiting to catch up. He says, I'm not able. He feels inadequate. So God has to spend time talking Gideon out of his feelings of inadequacy. This is the trip. What Gideon doesn't know is there's a whole nation that's been praying for him that hadn't been praying for him. They've been praying for an answer. They didn't know Gideon was the answer. And Gideon didn't know he was the answer. But Israel's deliverance was tied to Gideon's sense of self-esteem. See, the enemy is not after your esteem just to make you feel bad about you. The enemy is after your esteem because he knows your esteem is needed for you to accept the assignment that's going to bless a group of people that are waiting on you to step into who you are. That's why the enemy sent heartbreak into your life when you were a child, sent heartbreak into your life when you were an adult, because he wanted to rob you of a sense of self, not to just destroy you, but to make you irrelevant to the people that are waiting on you, because we don't believe in ourselves enough to believe that there are some people that are waiting on me. Man, my time is up. God has to talk him out of inadequacy, because you can't accomplish your assignment entrapped in inadequacy. Inadequacy is a prison that stops you from trying. And even when you do try, you try with trepidation. You try with timidity. You try like you don't even believe it's going to work. Y'all aren't talking to me. Yeah, we must get delivered from low, ungodly, low self-esteem. And many of us, like Gideon, are fed up with the evils around us, yet we haven't realized that the answer to those evils lies within us. Come on now, if the answer lies in Gideon, then the Midianites weren't Israel's problem. Gideon's esteem was. The Midianites are not the problem. Your esteem is. The Midianites are not the problem. Your esteem is. The problem isn't the problem. Your inadequacy is. Because the answer to the problem lies in you. The problem is only a problem if you don't know that the answer is in you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And you can tell the size of a person's sense of identity by the size of the problem that it takes to discourage them. You can tell the size of a person's sense of identity by the size of the problem it takes to discourage them. If it takes a little problem to send you running, you got a little sense of self. But if it takes a big problem to send you running, you got a big sense of self. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Is this not what happened with David and Goliath, where everyone in Israel was running from Goliath? But when David saw him, he ran to Goliath, not because Goliath was smaller, but David said his God was bigger. Pastor Daniels, how? I gotta go, do I? How do I address my issues of perception? I hear you, Pastor Daniels, and I understand the importance of addressing my insight. But I need you to help me help myself. I want to see myself better, but I'm unable to do so. I need you to help me. I can't help you, but Gideon can. The answer is in the text. In verse 16, the Lord answered Gideon and said this, I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive. I got to go. He says, I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites. I will be with you. Okay, you missed it. Gideon, you can do it because I'm going to be with you. Okay, don't miss this. He says, Gideon, listen. He said, listen. If you don't believe in yourself yet, this is what you need to do. Believe in me until you're able to believe in yourself. Y'all didn't hear what I just said. Yeah, if you don't believe you can do it yet, I need you to believe I can do it and go for it, believing that I can do it until you believe in yourself. You see, I've been waiting on this service because y'all should be able to feel this example here. You see, it's like when you know you're going into a fight, your confidence is impacted by who you have with you. Come on now. Yeah, if you have someone that's untested, unproven, inconsistent with you, you won't be as confident. But when you know you have somebody that's down for whatever, y'all not talking to me, you walk into the situation with a different type of swag. You walk up on the situation. Is we finished or is we done? Whatever. What is it? What? And when you know that God is with you, you walk up in the interview with a different type of confidence. You walk in the hospital with a different type of confidence because he walks with me. And he talks with me. And he tells me I'm his own. Believe in me until you believe in yourself. Gideon, if you were born for it, you're able to do it. Think about what I just said. If you were born for it, you're able to do it. God does not set you up to fail. Somebody say it like you mean it. Say, I am able. Say it. Say, I am able. Come on, say it. Say, God is with me, and I am able. God is with me, and I am able. You don't believe it? Ephesians 3:20. Paul says, now unto him who is able to do immeasurably more, exceedingly and abundantly, above all we ask. If you ask it, he's able to do more than that. Or imagine, if you can think it, he's able to do more than that. But let me tell you how. The answer's in the text. According to his power that is at work in you. Say it, I am able. Joseph, come here. Joseph, you can be a father to Pharaoh. That's in you. Nehemiah, come here. You can be a cupbearer to a king. That's in you. Jeremiah, come here with your young self. You're going to prophesy to nations. You're not going to prophesy to a city. I'm going to make you a mouthpiece to nations. I'm coming for you today. Come out of that low self-esteem. Jeremiah, I want you to touch nations. Samuel, you're a king maker. You make kings. David, I'm going to establish a throne and a lineage of which there will be no end. I am able. There's a God who wants to introduce you to his ability. A God that wants to change your life and usher you into a life of limitless possibility. There's a God who wants to change your life, but only God can change your life. You can change your morals, you can change some habits, but it takes God to change your whole life. And he wants to put his fingerprint on every area of your life so that when he's done with you, his fingerprint, the evidence of his working is on every area. When you look at your mind, God's all up in there. Your body, God's all in there. Your relationships, he's all in there. He wants to change your life, but he can only change your life if you